I'm not even going to waste my time setting up the microphone and the whole 9 yards just to tell you what I'm about to tell you. But I have read yet another post from a trad wife, and if you don't know what a trad wife is, short for traditional. They claim to be traditional wives in the sense that they're good Christian women who follow all the precepts of the Bible and whatnot. Yeah, no. And if you want to know if it makes me an expert, what makes me an expert, I guess, I've been married for 36 years. I have had my share of arguments and discord and craziness, and we almost got divorced once or twice. Anyway, bottom line is this. We've been together for 38 years, going on 39 this summer, and we recently celebrated our 36th wedding anniversary. Bottom line is this. In a real marriage where you have a man and a woman, it doesn't matter if you're Catholic, Christian, or you're no longer practicing, or you practice, or whatever, okay? It doesn't really matter. You have to take into account that having a belief system is great, but it doesn't have anything to do with your marriage, which is probably why you got married in your church, but then you also had to fill out paperwork for the state. Remember that? Because marriage is not a religious situation. Yeah, I know all about the Catholics and the whole 9 yards. I was raised Catholic, okay? And I did all the commandments except for, of course, I haven't been read the last rites because I'm not dead. And I never became a priest because I'm a girl. And they changed that when they felt like it. Because it used to be that women could be priests too. But that's another story for another day. Bottom line is this. In a marriage, there's two people. It's not God, you and your husband, or you and your wife. It's you and your spouse. If you want a successful marriage, it's not going to be 100%, 100%, 50%, 50%. It's not going to be any of that. One day you're both going to be pushing for 100%. The next day one of you might have 80, the other one might have 30. And I think you can sense a pattern here. It never adds up to 100. Because you both put as much effort as you can on any given day. There are going to be days when one of you is going to be fighting cancer. And guess what? The marriage is going to get maybe 10% from both of you. You know why? Because the person that got the cancer is trying to stay alive, and the person that loves them is trying to keep them alive. So the marriage takes a second place to the disease. On other occasions, you might have a situation where you're broke. And I don't mean broke like we don't have money for until next week when you get paid. I mean broke like you went through, oh my God, what's the name of this thing? The court, and they declare you broke. I forgot the name of it. Bankruptcy. Bankruptcy is the word I'm looking for. You might be going bankrupt. And you know what? During that time and that process, which is very long and very annoying, you might find yourself in days where you're both giving 1,000%. And then you're going to find yourself in days that you don't even want to talk to each other because you're blaming each other for being in this mess, which you both created. Here's the important part. On nothing that I just explained to you does God add up to it. You can have all the faith in the world and your marriage will collapse. Or you can have no religion to speak of, and you might be together for 30, 40, 50, 60 years. I've known people on both sides of the spectrum. I know people that are complete atheists and have been happily married for 20, 30, 40 years. I know people who were very religious, went to church, went to advice from the church, and got divorced in 2 years. It's not because it's a lotto. It's because two people have to come together and be in agreement on what they're going to do to make the marriage work. And there are going to be days when you don't agree. And on those days, you're going to have to hold on for dear life, because if you don't, it might just disappear. There's going to be people that get married with the best intentions, and one of them is an abuser. There's going to be times when you're going to marry, two people are going to get married thinking that they're perfect for each other, and one of them was a narcissist that was love bombing this person until they finally married them. There are so many variables into what can go in and out of a marriage and what can go right or wrong. There is no way to determine what's going to make a successful marriage. But this whole idea that your wife has to submit to you, no. Because the funny thing is, you wouldn't expect the man to submit to the woman, would you? The people that say, oh, you have to obey. You know, it's really funny because when I got married, I told my priest, I will not say obey, so you can say it. But I can then, well, sure that I'm going to blah, 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 and not say it. And that's exactly what happened. I don't think people understand that when you say love and obey, both people have to say it when you're getting married. And you know why that is? Because the first line of defense, when you're talking about a problem or something, the first person that you should go and consult is your spouse, because they're directly impacted by anything that happens to you. Not because there's money, not because, it's because you're going to get upset or happy or sad or whatever, based on whatever the situation is, and the person that's going to have to deal with you is your spouse. So get them ready. I am not trying to tell you how to live your life or whether or not you should believe in church or not. Personally, I believe a lot of people are happy in church, and if their belief system is helping them cope with life, let them. If people believe in a freaking rock, let them. What I see now, and I've seen for a while, but now it's kind of like easier for me to talk about because I've been married for this long, is a lot of people get married without actually knowing each other, number one. Number two, they don't have the level of maturity to stay married. And believe me, we were kids when we got married. I was 21, my husband was 20. We were two children getting married. And we thought we were the adults of the group. Little did we know. But we made it. Because as hard as we fought and argued and didn't see each other's way, the harder the other person got to educating us into whatever it is that we believe now. It's not always going to be a clear-cut path. You might change churches because the church where you started is not the church where you're going to continue. I know people that have moved from Catholic to Protestant to Buddhism to... Because the core of your marriage has nothing to do with your religion. It has to do with your maturity. It has to do with love. It has to do with like. It's not enough to love somebody to stay married. You have to like that person. I don't care if you're gay, straight, black, white, from anywhere in the world. More important than love, you have to like the person you're with. Because if you don't like them, eventually that thing that annoys you is going to turn into that thing that you want to strangle them for. And I can tell you, because there are days when it still annoys the crap out of me that every Monday he has to be watching Monday Night Football and yelling at the screen. That's not something that's annoying enough for me to want to kill him, but it is annoying. And it's been 36 years. I'm sure I do a lot of things that annoy him. And if you ask him, he'll probably tell you, but I'm not going to tell you. But the bottom line is this. Traditional wives on social media at the moment are usually in their 20s. They've usually been married for a year or 2 years, if they're married at all. And they have a lot to say about what makes a good wife or a good husband. And I've always told them the same thing. It's really funny because the man who is religious will say that he wants a traditional wife. Then he'll marry her and look for a side piece that is everything opposite of his wife. And people will question him why. And he'll tell you that he's bored with his life and he needed some excitement. I've seen it more times than I care to count. The one thing that my husband can tell you is that he's never bored in this house because we always come up with some craziness to keep him entertained. It doesn't have to be infidelity. It doesn't have to be swingers. I mean, if you want to do those things, that's up to you. But in our case, Every year we want to learn Italian or French or something. Every time we go out, we want to try something different. We scrimp and scrape for $20 a week so we can go to the city over so we can see something that we've never seen before. Not everything has to be a big production. Not everything has to be so dramatic. But you do need to keep each other entertained. And that's not just the wife's responsibility, it's the other person's responsibility as well. Traditional wives on social media at this particular moment don't have a clue what it really takes to keep a marriage together. Thanks for listening.